registered. Okay, I'll also put this on recording so that at the end of this session, the members will be able to find this recording. So other than that, without any waste of time, good people, let us get going. All right, you are registered, but it is not showing. Okay, so what is it that is not showing? We will come back to that towards as we progress. Okay, so today I want us to touch on different types of portfolios, different types of shares. There are shares that are called penny stocks. There are shares that are called like blue chip stocks, value stocks, growth stocks that we discussed last times. And then there are shares like portfolios like ETFs, exchange traded funds. That is the basket of like index, a certain performing shares that are grouped together. On a platform like Easy Equities, the beautiful thing is that you are able to actually buy those units as ETFs. And then we have offshore companies and offshore ETFs that we are actually going to discuss today, so that not only the BE that we were talking about last time, we were talking about the BEs and the legability shares and so forth, but this time around, we will actually touch on different portfolios and different platforms. So if you do have a question, you can actually put that information via the comment section, or you can just put your questions and via the comment section, and then we'll be able to answer that. All right, so I can see your question, Mr. Victor, but we'll come back to the questions as time goes on. What is the difference between stocks and shares? All right. Actually, there is no difference as such. It depends which word you want to use. Others, they can say stocks, securities, or you can say equities, and you can say shares. But when you talk about shares, you are simply talking about the company shares only, the shares that I can buy maybe from Vodacom, from any other company. All right, so that's the share. And then when you talk about securities, it means different types of investment, including shares. It can be bonds, it can be many other things. And then stocks doesn't necessarily mean the shares, but it means different securities that are listed on the JSE. All right. So, for instance, real estate investment trust, we can call it as part of the stocks. That is why we call it a stock market, because in the stock market you find a whole lot of things. You can find the bonds there, you can find a real estate investment trust, you've got ETFs there. They are part of the stock market. So when we talk about stocks, we are actually including a whole lot of different portfolios that are listed on the stock market or Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And then when we talk about shares, we are very much specific. The portion that you buy from a certain company. All right, that's a share. So if you invest in a SAP Zenzelegabili, that's a share. But when you talk about stocks, we talk about these securities that you can buy from the stock market. All right, not only the shares. ETFs, obviously, it's a shares grouped together because of a certain performance or because of a certain category. So those are the few things that you need to understand. Okay, so I hope, Mr. Kumete, your question is now answered. All right, and Mashobo will come back to your question in terms of what is it that is not showing. Is it the BE sector that is not showing, or nothing is showing? Then we will come back to that question towards the end of the session. Okay, so this session will also be available on YouTube, on Sponsor TV, on on YouTube, and please subscribe so that you will have a VIP information. You will have every access in terms of the training, the sessions that we actually host. So you will have an opportunity to also find that information, and I'm promising you that you are very much going to enjoy it. All right, so let's get going. These are the few, the PE set. All right, I will show you. Have you received the email that confirms that you've already been verified? If you've received that email, that means it is already added. Sometimes even before you receive the email, they do add it, but I will actually show you as time goes on so that you'll be able to see what I am actually talking about. All right. And then, okay. So I, Ndumiso, I will respond to your question in terms of how do you go about checking. You can simply use Google. When you are checking shares, you can just, let me quickly show you. Let me be practical about this so that it will be clear and straight forward. Okay, so now I am sharing my screen. And okay, so let's quickly do this. All right, for instance, if ever I want to to check the price of SAB, I'll simply go straight to Google and type SAP Zenzelekabili share price. Okay, I forgot to put the share price. All right, share price. Okay, that is the share price, 120 Rand. Okay, remember that shares are listed in cents. So when you see this 120 thing, that is a 120 Rand. So ZAC stands for South African cents. Okay, so ZAC stands for what? Stand for South African cents. So that's one of the few things that you actually need to remember all the time. Okay, so the share price is 120 Rand. I hope you are able to see that beautiful stuff. It's 120 Rand a share. All right, so I hope that question is now quickly answered. All right, so if you are verified, then I will show you. Now, remember that once you registered and your account is opened, that is an ordinary share account. You need to also submit the naturalization affidavit together with your certified ID copy. Then after that, you will get an email that confirms that you are BEE compliant, and then the BE sector has been added. Because if you were first, you register for the normal ordinary share account, and then you verify and upload and send this affidavit for that BE sector to be added. Okay, but we'll come back to that. So let us quickly touch on these different types of shares so that we'll make this easier and more fun for everyone that is watching. So when I'm making an example here in terms of the share price on my note, you must remember that it is indeed an old share price, that one that I will be showing you. Okay, so it's not the current share price. So let's start with what we call the blue chip stocks. Blue chip stocks are those shares that are more like companies that has a stronger books, companies that have some growth stocks. So we call them what we call blue chip stocks. The likes of like Discovery, it's just an example. Tiger Brands, Woolworths, the banks, all these companies are those companies that are actually very much strong in terms of growth and the books. So this company that they are actually trusting and seeing with the companies that has always been there for quite some time. All right. So those are the few things that I actually need you to understand in terms of different types of shares. Okay. So when you actually put together your portfolio, you need to understand that at least you must mix both value stocks with growth stocks. Remember last time we indicated that value stocks are those shares that are actually discounted, that are down in terms of value, but they are showing signs of recovery. Okay, so not the companies that are heavily in debt. No, I mean in terms of because maybe of the COVID, most stocks were down. So that those are what we call the value stocks. That has got like a future, even though they are down and discounted or undervalued. But in terms of growth and future prospect, the opportunity is there. We call them growth stocks. And then those, I mean, we call them value stocks. Those that are really strong and tight and showing beautiful signs of growth, we call them growth stocks. So those are the few things that I need you to understand. So that is why, that is what you must always mix in your portfolio. You must have a little bit of blue chips there, maybe some little bit of real estate investments trust there, and a little bit of ETFs right there. All right, so you are putting together all these different types of assets just to balance your portfolio, because we always encourage that you cannot put all your eggs into one basket. So that's one of the few things I am encouraging you to remember. All right. So if you understand those matters, it's even very much better. Okay. So those that are actually struggling with network, rest assured that after this session, we will also send you the recording via our WhatsApp group. So you don't have to worry that much. Okay, so let us get going. And then the second part that I will need to introduce to you are those shares that we call the penny stocks. So in terms of these pricings, remember this is the old prices. Okay, is the note that I prepared last time. So we are discussing them today. For instance, we were using these notes around August, September last year. And the prices of these shares were at like Stadio was like 117. I don't know how much the price today. As you can see, Stadio, it's more like 117. Stadio is that company, Stadio Education, that it's a multi-university company. It's more like a private universities company, like the likes of a Mill Park. They are part of a Stadio. Southern Business School, they are part of a Stadio, and many other brands in terms of education that are part of Stadio. And the reason why I was putting all these companies after analyzing them, they were in a very good position of growth. For instance, last year around August, September, Stadio price was 117. Let us check now how much is the current price. All right, so we want us to check how much is the current price in terms of what? In terms of a Stadio. All right, let me quickly go to Google with you. All right, so that we get the right price, the current price for today. Stadio share price is now 3 Rand 25. From how much? From 1 Rand 17. So that is more like 290% growth. Is it 190? I think it's almost from 1 Rand, 2 Rand, 3 Rand. Yeah, it's almost it's above 200%. So not too bad. All right. So that's another thing that those people who actually were part of that session direction. I hope you are in a good returns as we speak. All right. I remember in 2016, the price of state was more like 8 rand. So I think in terms of recovering, there are still a bullish direction that is yet to take place in this equity. All right. So those are the few things that you need to understand. And then next, in terms of for instance, Fortress Fund was 2 rand. Alice is now 10 cent. It was 8 cent at that time. So if you can check all these equities at your own available time, KAP is now 5 rand. Leopards is now around from 60 cent or so. So some of the shares and companies like Exponent, I think this one is suspended. All right. So that is the risk about penny stocks, because they are cheaper and they are more like not so strong companies. All right. So a share that costs like 3 cents, when you invest, at least you must make sure that you don't pour all your eggs into one basket. You invest small amounts, because it's very risky. For instance, a share that is 2 cents can easily go to 1 cent, and if it goes to 1 cent, that is more like 50% down already. Okay, so those are the few things that I need to understand in terms of the risk with penny stocks. As much as they are high risk, they can also be highly profitable. All right, they can also be highly profitable. Those are the few things that you need to understand. But I always make sure that I don't use big amounts when I buy penny stocks. All right, as much as they can grow fast, and they can also crash. So if you understand those elements, it's even very much better. Okay, so that's the second part in terms of what? Of different types of shares. I won't talk about the BE shares because we touched on that last week. And then the third one is the real estate investment trust. So real estate investment trust is different shares, share portfolios. So the way it works is that real estate investment trust. Let me just make an example using an SA Corp. Okay, so maybe last time we spoke about SA Corp, and let me just go back and touch on it a little bit. All right, maybe start with Fortress that we've just spoken about. For instance, the Fortress share price is now 2 rand 96. Okay, as you can see, 2 rand 96 from that 1 rand something last year. Okay, but what I want us to check is the Fortress website, Fortress Fund, so that you can see, as much as it is 2 rand 96, but under Fortress, these are some of the notes that I will send you, Nontogozo, so that when you are actually dealing with our people in Johannesburg, it can be easy to actually differentiate. But we will actually discuss this tomorrow. All right. So let's come to this. For instance, I'm opening the Fortress. I'm making an example here. As you can see, this is the Fortress Fund. That is actually 2 rand something for now. Some of these developments, remember this portfolio has got logistics, it's got industrial, retail, office parks, and so forth. So those are the few things that I actually need you to understand. So if I stroll down here, you can very much see that it is the properties, it is the shopping centers, the malls under the retail portfolio. Some of them, you know them, but the beautiful thing is that this actually gives you, okay, this actually gives you what? This actually gives you the what we call the exposure to these properties. All right, you can see Northwest, you can see Mpumalanga, you can see uh, this whole setups, as you can see here. It's a whole lot of thing happening. All right, so good people, I hope Uguti, uyabona ukuthi kwenzakalani here. All right, so I hope we are together in this. Okay, so that's part of the real estate investment trust. I'm just making example in this instance. Okay, it is still a portfolio of shares that you can very much be able to actually do what? To actually put under your shares as well. And then another part that I will discuss with you is the ETFs, for instance, exchange traded funds. For example, when you talk about Satrix Top 40, that is also available on this platform. For instance, Satrix Top 40. Satrix Top 40, that is the best performing portfolio. Not necessarily the best, but the 40 is made up of the best performing companies selected on the JSE. All right, so those are the few things that you need to understand. Obviously, it is excluding commodities because there are no mining companies under the top 40 the last time I checked. So those are the few things that you need to understand. I think there are companies under top 40, it's under 25 that exclude some actually companies, but on the top 40, there are like companies like Anglo, if I'm not mistaken. All right, but I will double check and verify that. Okay, so these are some of the ETFs that you have an exposure to actually buy using this same platform that we have on this category. So I'm showing you that you're not only focusing, more especially old people. I always encourage that old people, like retired people, must actually focus more on the ETFs because they have a reasonable volatility. They are not more like normal equities or stocks. So ETFs like top 40, it's 40 companies grouped together. And if one of those companies is not doing so well, it can actually drop out of the top 40, and then other companies may actually go up. It's like a performance table. So when you understand the soccer top 8, MTN top 8, something like that on the PSL, so the team that is on the 8, part of the 8, is because of the performance. It's the same thing here. When you look at Nasdaq 100, are those technology companies that are actually doing the most. Obviously, there are many companies on the Nasdaq, but there is that top 100. Just like on the JSE, there are more like 300 and above companies, but there is that top 40, top 25, top 10, and so forth. So I hope you understand. So we call all these exchange traded funds, and they are also exchange traded notes, the ETFs. Okay, so that was the third part that I needed to share with you. And then the last one will be actually offshore ETFs, the global ETFs. All right, so those are the other beautiful ones that you can use to actually diversify your portfolio even further. The likes of iShares, BlackRock iShares, China, Power Shares, Triple Q series, that is the Nasdaq, small cap, and many others. As you can see, there's ETFs under Vanguard, ETF, SPDR, there's an ARC, Invest, ETFs, there's a whole lot. All right, practically you will see when we do it shortly, but I was just showing you these different things in passing. Remember that when we had a session last time, it's not easily it's not easy for us to actually put all these things together because that will be more like information overloading. So that is why we do it step by step. All right. So after this now, we'll also have another follow-up that will actually assist you. And then after that, we'll be able to wrap this session. All right. So remember, you are on a temporal engagement in terms of learning how all these things work. If you want like a long-term mentorship, and then you can contact me regards to that, and then I'll be showing you how to become a member of our long-term mentorships in terms of investing and trading. Okay, so I'll specify these different types of shares and investment. Now, I hope it's very much clear on your side. Now, let us go straight to this easy equity platform, and then have some discussion in terms of practically seeing all these things that I'm actually talking about. Okay, so now I'm on my platform, as you can see. First of all, you see this is Easy Equity ZAR, that is our local account. Easy Equity USD, that is the offshore one in terms of dollars. And then Swiss 40. When you stroll this site, you will see sometimes you've been verified and you've been added, but now you need to stroll to the left so that you'll be able to see this part that I'm talking about. All right, so it seems like I'm not sharing my page. Sorry. Let me quickly share my page. Yeah, apologies on that regard. I was under impression that I'm sharing it already. Okay, so now I think you can see my page on your screen. Is that so? You can show me with a thumbs up if ever you can see it. Okay, so this is the Easy Equity ZAR, and then on this other side is the USD. There's property. There's when you scroll to the left, if you are using a smartphone, you scroll up, but if you are using a desktop, you must scroll to the left to check the last one. You see this, there is a PE share scheme. All right, sometimes the email that says you've been verified, under demo USD, there is a PE share scheme. So after the email that says you've been verified, and then you need to scroll to the left so that you can see this other side as well. So please double check for me. If ever is not added there, that means we have to wait a little bit after sending your affidavit, then they will eventually add it into your portfolio. All right, so on top here, there's these three lines is actually a menu. So when you click the drop-down list in terms of the menu, this is the drop-down list. So you can see account overview. Under overview, there is account overview. When you click account overview, that you can see the performance of your shares. All right, you can see the performance of your shares. This portfolio of mine is up at least 48% for now. Not very much bad. And then you can go to your holdings and see which one are doing well, which one are doing not so well. As you can see, others are red that are not yet performing as I like. Others are actually showing some beautiful performance, as like ArcelorMittal, the former ISCO company, on my portfolio is up 700%. I bought it with 990. It has given me some 7,000 profit, not too bad. That is why on this one is standing like this. All right, so we can scroll down. You can see under your portfolio, you can see which ones are showing some form of performance. You can see we've got a whole lot of green that are actually doing well. So since we are in this for a long term, you see now these are all Senior Industrial Revolution, MSCI World. These are all ETFs. So that's how sometimes you balance your portfolio using what we call them REITs on this side, ETFs on this side, penny stocks, blue chips, as well as offshore stocks under the USD. All right, when you go back to again to menu, and then under my investment, you can see invest now, and then you click invest now. All right, so after clicking invest now, you scroll down a little bit, and then there's a search button that you can use to search any other company that you actually want to see. For instance, let me do MTN. All right, so, and then there's MTN. So I can see MTN after searching for MTN. All right, so those are the few things that I need you to understand. And then there are investment types. You can see equities here, that is shares. ETFs, that is a exchange traded funds. All right, when you click under ETFs, you can see the likes of Satrix Top 40 and many others. One Invest. These are all types of different ETFs. That gives you a bigger chunk of market. All right, so that is it's like you know when you are baking a cake, you put different ingredients so that actually it comes fine. So that is the mixture of ETFs right here. Okay, so you can see some of them. Okay, so this one, for instance, it gives you an exposure to S&P 500, to top 40. These are both JSE, to the US, to the world, Japan, FTSE 100, that is UK. So that is the exposure you get under the ETFs. And then there is also a crypto. Under crypto, there's a EC10. EC10 is an index of best performing cryptos. Well, they are not performing well these days, as you can see that they are down. So it's a 10 cryptocurrencies grouped together. As you can see, these are a whole lot of them. You've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, Cardano, Dogecoin, Ripple, Polkadot, Uniswap, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. All right, so these are some of the 10 that makes the index of a crypto, just to balance what we call your portfolio. Okay, so yeah, as the Bitcoin has fallen for like it's fallen for like 60%. I mean 50% from 900 to 400 something. That's more like 50%. At least here you've got like a 60% exposure. It's big, obviously, but yeah. So that's what you need to understand. And then again, under what we call if you want the real estates investment trust, and then you have to search them like this. You can put it like, for instance, SA Corp. SA Corp. Yes, this is an SA Corp real estate. So you just have to type and search different categories of those real estate investment trusts. So that's what you do. And then again, everything is in your menu. So when you go back to menu again, you click menu, and then under my funds, you can see there's a deposit right there. So when you click menu and deposit, okay, so now it takes you and show you this part. And then you said you do not see your a number. This is your number. EE2321994 is mine. And then yours will also appear when you go to menu, then you go to deposit, then it will take you to this page. And if ever maybe you've got money on your ZA account, then you want to transfer it to the BE part, you are able to go to menu, and then under my funds, there is this inter-account transfer. You can also be able to transfer money from ZA, from ZA to what? Maybe to BE scheme, for instance. And then you'll put the amount that you want to transfer, and then it's easy like that. You make your transfer simple. All right, so you can deposit it directly to your BE, or you can deposit to your ordinary share and then transfer it back. So you play around menu. So if you click menu again, as you can see the withdrawal. When you want to make a withdrawal after disinvesting, you can be able to do all those sort of things. All right, so under my investment, this thing that says my recurring investment, if you actually want to have a stop order or a debit order that goes monthly, it can be 100 rand debit order if you like. That will go under available funds. You can set up that monthly debit that will go to under available funds, so that you can explore other opportunity that might be available. All right. So if you move to the left, you can see is equity USD. All right. And under is equity USD, let's quickly go to account overview. So this is a my dollar account. Okay, it's up to that's more like $10,800. Not bad. All right. So these are part of the companies I have, like ARC. These are ETFs as well. These are offshore ETFs. Some of them are like offshore ETFs, currently down. The next generation internet. Coinbase is the listed crypto exchange. So I'm yet to buy more on this. I just put it with $1 just so that I can see it is there. And then we've got the 5G next generation. Last year, the 5G story we were busy with last year. All right, and what we have here, the likes of Facebook, silver, MSCI China, showing signs of moving up a little bit there. So these are some of the, on this side, I've got more of ETFs, as you can see here, that is leaning more on US ETFs, not much on equities and so forth. So yeah, just to keep in balance. On my other portfolios, I do have others in place. And then when you go to the left again, you can see the BE one. All right, so that one is a SAB Zenzele. So the reason why I was saying to good people, let us buy little by little. All right. So for instance, right now the price is down to like 120. So now that the share price is at 120, you can do what? You can buy some more if you like. Okay. So it's now 120, meaning that if you want to buy some more, a little bit. Okay. So let's say you've got 1,000 rand, because this platform allows you to buy a fraction of a share. Let's say you buy maybe with 250, 820. You just buy with 250 and then keep your other money on the BE scheme portfolio. And then when it drops maybe back to, because the fair value of this share, it's more like 48 rand to 60 rand. That is the fair value. It is up because of the hype. I firmly believe that before it can even go up further than this and show signs of growth, it is yet to go down, because some whales will want to make some withdrawals and so forth. Okay, so those are a few things that you must expect in this instance. But as time goes on, because there's value in this, it will surely show some organic growth as time goes on. All right, so I hope you do understand. So I do have 100 rand that I may expose as a form of example. So once it is added here, you can just click buy or buy more. Okay, obviously the market is closed, but I can put an order. So how much I want to spend is more like 100 rand that I have left. And then now I'm clicking what? Once off. So that's how you go about buying or selling any other stocks. It seems like I've got insufficient funds. How much do I have here? 1.50. Okay, so now it means I have to buy it with 99 rand. All right, yeah. So here is 99 rand, and then I'm buying it at open. So when the JSE opens tomorrow at 9, then I'll be able to receive my confirmation. At the moment, it will remain as what? As pending. Okay, so I hope you do understand that, good people. So whenever you buy, okay, whenever you buy, you simply go to menu and then invest now, and then it depends which sector and category you will be in. All right, so even if here you are on the normal shares, so you go to your menu, you go to invest now. The beautiful thing about this platform, it allows you to buy a fraction of a share, meaning that even if the share is like 500 rand, but I want to buy a piece with 100 rand, you are able to do so. Even on this PE is equity, ability thing, you are able to buy a fraction from there. So if you understand that, it's even very much better. Okay, so from all these platforms, you are able to buy even a fraction. So there's really no excuse. With this 8 rand, I can buy something. Let me check which one I can consider. All right. I'll just go to invest now, and I will look for, okay, foresight. Foresight, I think it's 26 cent. Okay, and it's even 28 cent. So now how much am I spending? 80 rand. And then I'm clicking once off, and 8 rand is giving me 27 shares. Yeah, it is giving me 27 shares, and then I will confirm buy it open. All right, so it's just a pending buy, as you can see. All right, and then tomorrow when the market opens, then I can see it under my portfolio. So those are the few things that you need to understand in these matters going forward. Okay, so before we move towards the conclusion, let me check a few of your questions right there. Okay, let me see. Right. All right, Sanelisi, where you were saying your network is unstable. It's fine, you will get the recording. It's not added. Okay, so if it's not showing, that means you are not yet verified. All right, so what was verified is your normal account, because you first have to open an account before you can be able to add this PE thing. All right. When is the closing date of buying SAP? There's no closing date. It will always be available wire. So all these shares that are here, there's actually no closing date. You can buy them, sell, you can buy and sell at any given moment. And the more the share price goes down, it's even better. Okay. So I always tell people, because the price is always been like high from the first day, because from the first day it just went up to 110. So it's always been like high now for like close to a month. So what you can do is that as it continue to goes down, you buy little, you buy low and sell high. So those are the elements we always need to understand, that all the time and every time we buy low and sell high. So I hope you understand that. Okay, so it will always be there, so you don't have to worry. Actually, it will be very much like it, because other people have bought it at 180, now it's down to 120. So that's a little piece of a loss right there. Okay, so I hope what I've taken you through um, 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 right now, it brings some form of enlightenment. Okay, so that is the few steps that I needed you to understand it today. Okay, so I've shown you how to fund your account, and I've shown you different elements and different things that you actually need to understand. Okay, so somebody's asking, Victor, what is the first thing to look for before buying, and how do you actually analyze the companies? Okay, so the beautiful thing is that there are many sources. Firstly, there is what we call the SENS, the stock market news. All right. So it's available even on the JSE website. So it actually helps you to understand which companies are actually releasing financials. That's number one. Paying dividends. What is happening with managements of companies? obviously we look for value. Before we even look for numbers, the one few things that you need to understand is to check the things like the net asset value of the company. All right, you check in terms of the liabilities and the assets that the company owns. Where do you get that? You can, if you go to like any other website, MTN website, there is a link for investments. Okay, so there is a link for investments, and then you just click investments. Then it will give you all those numbers. It will show you the balance sheet of the company. It will show you the income statement of the company. It will show you the cash flow of the company. It will show you all these things in terms of the assets they have and the debts they carry, all those sort of things. You need to understand that if the company has got like a whole lot of debts than the assets they carry, and then that seems like a company that is not very much financially healthy. Okay, and then there are websites like investing.com. So when you go to investing.com and add JSE so that it will give you the local company, you can go through technical analysis and the fundamentals that are always discussed there. There are websites like ShareNets that assist you with analysis. There are websites like MoneyWeb, uh, Finweek, Financial Week, Business Day, because you need to understand them in terms of the shares. The news plays a huge role. All right. So when you talk about the news, not just the newspaper news, the finance and the investment news, all right, they show you because, for instance, if like a company with a good management and the CEO decided to resign, that will actually drive the share down. So those are the elements you always need to understand, that you always need to analyze. It's not just technical perspective that you use, but it's more fundamentals when it comes to investing. As much as the history doesn't determine the future, but you also have to have a look in terms of even the past performance of the company, the dividends that they've declared in the past. Are there any future dividends and so forth? The financial reporting, their future growth, other things like technology stocks. You know that now we are moving towards robotics, artificial intelligence, digital 3D printing, all those sort of things. So there's still a room for growth in those aspects. That is the fundamental part of analyzing a share. You don't think about a clover like a cheese, milk, and then I'll go for this one. No, it doesn't work like that. But on the next session, that will be the gist of the meeting. Probably next week or so, we will have another session whereby we will wrap up in terms of fundamental and technical analysis, how to read the financials of the company, how to actually determine the price and the future growth of the company, and so forth. All right. So that is another answer to your question, Mr. Gumede. All right. How long do you have to keep your shares? Okay. So remember that we all have a different risk appetite. So it depends on your needs and goals in terms of your investing. Are you investing for a mid-term, short to mid-term, long-term? So when you talk about like a short to mid-term, you're talking about a year, 2 years, 3 years. But when you talk about long-term, you're talking about 5 years, 10 years. All right. So that's one of the few things that you need to understand. I always emphasize that when you invest in shares, you must think of a long term, like long term. Okay, even 10 years, 20 years. That's how you must look at it when it comes to investing in a share. Okay, so for instance, there are those shares that I have different portfolios. So I've got a portfolio that focusing on the short term, whereby I look for those value stocks and invest in those value stocks, and then maybe just above a year, 2 years after realizing my targets, then I can disinvest and sell those shares. But it will also depend on your targets. For instance, if ever you are very much happy with 10% growth in your share portfolio, and then you decide to do some profit taking, you can do that. So in terms of of how long and how short, it depends on an individual plans and goal in terms of investing. The reason you started buying shares, was it for a longer term perspective, for short term, and so forth? So that is the determining factor. All right. So is there any other question? Let me check. Sibusiso. So can I keep for a long time? Yes, you can keep them for a long time. All right, and ngiyabonga, angizange ngikwazi ukufika eGoli. I was on isolation due to COVID. Kodwa kukhona engikufundayo manje. Thank you so much, Sibongile. Thank you so much, Sibusiso. I hope you are now answered. Okay, so when we are discussing financial, next week, can you show us past example of company and how they perform currently? Yeah, you will go through all that. All right, you will go through that. Remember that financials, that is why, the reason why they are called a public company is because everything must be in public. All right, financials, everyone must get access to see the financials, the health of the company, transparency, and so forth. So those are the few things that must always be there. Obviously, it is audited and verified financials, not like this kind of story thing. Okay. So other than that, I hope you've grasped some of the beautiful stuff that we've shared today. And I am under impression that you are actually learning something. Okay. So if that is the case, I will say thank you so much for joining us today. If there is any other questions, or you can keep that question coming. But please make sure that is that time of the day where I will need you to open your cameras. All right, I will need you to open your cameras. And I know ukuthi enhloko nifaka isponji masekuyileskhathi, but vulana ama-camera, I want to see you. Ngiyazi ukuthi abanye ngalesikhathi ekhaya bagqoka ikheza ekhanda, siyambona nangu nontokozo nepantyhose ekhanda. Hawu Nkosi yami, alikho iphutha. Izinto ezenzakalayo lezi, understand. All right, abanye ke ngicabanga ukuthi, how do you open a camera from a laptop? Okay, I don't know how you open it from your laptop. I can see others are actually struggling to check it out. Okay, all right. I know, siyanibona Shem. Ngiyazi ukuthi abanye nje ngeke besavula amakhamera. Isimo abakuso njengamanje asibavumeli. You understand? Baphansi kwetshali. All right, other than that, good people, ngiyanibona niqokile niqishele. Kuyabanda kwamanye ama-province, Shem. You understand? It's good to be in Durban. All right, so other than that, thank you so much for joining us today. And good people, you can enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye-bye and goodbye. God bless you. And then the session, the recording is also available on YouTube. You can go to Sponsor Mjali TV, subscribe, and then you can actually access all this beautiful information. Sponsor Mjali TV on YouTube. You can also subscribe, and we do have the recording right there. Other than that, thank you so much. God bless you.